Hey everybody, today we're moving outside just for a little change of scenery. It is a beautiful fall day and we're here together today to talk more specifically about time. How can we relieve or alleviate the very common feeling of the time squeeze, the anxiety or the time-driven anxiety. So I'd like to talk to you about 3 different techniques or tactics or strategies that we can start using to really hone in on starting to move our perception of time into something more positive. And when we move our perception of time into something more positive, we will actually find that we do have more time. And the time that we do have is very well spent. So let's get started. Do you know the common feeling of tightness in your neck, maybe a clenched stomach, maybe like tight wrists or jaw or neck and shoulders? These are all physical symptoms of anxiety. And anxiety can be linked to, for me anyways, the feeling of lack of time. So if you haven't watched the Facebook conversation about time, you can see the link in the comments below about that conversation. So every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock in the evening, we chat about a new real life topic and we discover some real life solutions that we can use every day in our life. So first of all, the perception of time is an interesting point of view. So if we can kind of get our heads around the idea that, well, first of all, everybody has the same amount of time to work with. Doesn't matter who you are, where you are, we all have 24 hours in a day. So that's just reality. But it's what we do with our time and how we perceive that time that really sets people apart, whether we feel anxious about our time or whether we feel more time serenity. So the perception of time can really be enhanced by consciously slowing down. And this one can be really tough. I have a really tough time slowing down. I have to be very mindful. So I feel that this starts by being on your mat, or even not necessarily a mat, but being in a quiet space and using your meditation and your yoga practice to really help shift your brain out of the overwhelm. Okay, there's no way to get around the overwhelm other than consciously choosing to get out of the overwhelm. We're gonna still have things to do tomorrow. There are still gonna be kids wanting breakfast made and driven to their favorite activities. Those things are completely out of our control. So what do we have within our control? Well, it's right here. It's exactly what we think of time. A really good example, if you think about a day, well, we'll take 2 people. So 2 people are sitting in traffic and they've got caught in a traffic jam, and one person is like livid. They explode with road rage and they're completely irritated. Whereas the other person could just happily plug in an audiobook or their favorite CD and take advantage of that time. So this is a really good example of how we perceive time and how we perceive different experiences that come into our life. So I know it's hard because it's like, well, what about everything on my to-do list? I totally get that. But rushing, being angry, being irritable does not actually get us more time. And that was a really honest moment for me a couple of years ago, where I was like getting ready in the bathroom and I was completely overwhelmed with anxiety. I just thought to myself, okay, I have to get ready. That's just what I have to do right now. I can either get ready and be completely fed up with this and be completely overwhelmed, or I can choose to enjoy this time. This is the same amount of time, but it's how we choose to look at it, how we choose to live through that time, what kind of attitude we choose to have through that time. Now, I know for me, as soon as anxiety hits and I feel that rise of I get a hot flash, I start to get a little bit irritable, my hands sometimes shake a little bit. I know as soon as that starts to rise, I know that I've gone too far. So it helps even before you get there to those common feelings of that physical anxiety, is that we think in our own minds, I have a choice. I know for me, because of all those physical symptoms, if I choose to let overwhelm run that, say 20 minutes of the day, I will be clumsy. I will be frustrated. I'll be mad. I'll probably drop things. I'll probably forget things. My mind is not aligned with something, with the greater good. And so 20 minutes is maybe what you have to get ready, but if you choose to rush through it, it's going to be hell, and you're going to be way more clumsy. And so we have a choice of how we want to spend that particular time. So perception is really everything, and it's where this whole journey of time serenity starts. And I feel that meditation is really the key, because meditation over time is a practice. It's never perfect, but over time it can retrain our brains to actually literally slow down. You might have other activities that really get you into that zone as well, where you can start to relax, but I think meditation is one of the greatest tools that is completely underutilized to calm anxiety and just open our perception up to the idea that we can change our time perspective. Okay, the next one I want to talk about is doing less with more intention. It's very easy for me to completely pack every moment of the day. I don't know if this is you too, but it's like my schedule, and I try to jam like a puzzle, jam every last thing into every last second of the day, and definitely anxiety overload, right? So how can we look at our schedules? And we do this in the Full Circle membership. So with the membership, we sit down and there's an exclusive member podcast where I actually walk you through easy breezy scheduling of your month in pencil, because it's never going to be perfect. But what can we do to schedule in, yes, our priorities of things that are non-negotiable, like our everything that we have related to our job, children, etc. But to most people, that's all they get to is only scheduling in the things they have to do. Well, there's no fun in that. Of course it feels overwhelming. Of course it feels like a struggle. But what if we went above that? So every month what we do is we sit down and we visualize what we want the month to look like. What do you want to do and we look at the rules in your life. What do you want to do as a mom this month that is beyond wiping bums and driving kids to soccer practice? What can you do? So we pencil in one-on-one date time with your oldest, one-on-one date time with your youngest. What do you want to do as a spouse? Well, imagine you could have an enjoyable night together that you haven't done in 10 years. So we work through scheduling so it feels like you can actually get what you want done, not just the bare necessities of survival. We want to get out of survival and into thrive mode, where we can feel more abundance with time, happiness, and joy. So I'm saying pare down your to-do list. You'll never get everything done. So if we can selectively choose what we're not going to get done today and let it go, we free up so much mental space to invite more contentment and happiness into the day. So stop over scheduling. Have you scheduled in any kind of breathing room, any kind of space where you can just be, right? So I go from appointment to a phone call in the car, and then I scarf down lunch, and then I schedule another phone call during a lunch. So that's usually what I do, and I really need to be mindful of not over scheduling. This comes in so handy when you're thinking about how much your family means to you, and the typical family schedule is completely off the charts. In terms of busyness, it's completely, in my mind, ridiculous. Yes, there are things that you may not be able to control, but I feel like we don't value the sacred family time anymore because we're wanting to put our kids in 1,000 different activities. So what are some segments of time that you can actually parcel together to give your family, your children, your spouse, yourself, undivided, undistracted attention? While you're doing these things, so the third thing is give yourself permission. I talked about it in the Facebook chat. I'm usually I'm the one that's doing laundry, but stressing about everything else that's to come. And it's like a hamster wheel of this continuous barrage of thoughts that are plaguing me at any given moment. Well, that's not being kind to ourselves. So giving yourself permission to, so when you're, maybe a good example is spending time with your children. You put your phone, so I encourage you to get like a basket from the dollar store, put the basket on top of the fridge, and phones go in that basket, and you don't touch them during family time. So supper time for us is a no phone zone. We play games, we talk, we connect, but giving yourself permission to be invested, be present in that particular activity. So you're not checking your phone, you're not thinking about your to-do list. Just give yourself permission. Right now, I'm gonna fold the laundry. There's nothing else I have to do right now. I have to fold this laundry, so it's my choice again. Am I going to fold laundry in an enjoyable way? How much fun can I have with this? How much fun can I have with this? Or am I going to fold laundry begrudgingly with overwhelm sense of like being fed up with the world and be, driven down more of that negativity spiral? So perception, use your meditation to actively, and even restorative yoga, any kind of slowing down activity without your phone and shutting off technology to allow your brain time to actually wind down. Do less with more intention. Set your intention. I had a fabulous meeting with my friend, or a coffee date with my friend the other night, and she actually set an intention before she came to meet me. She wanted to get to know me better, and I thought it was the most beautiful example of how we can be more soulful with our time. Set an intention. So set an intention when you're doing your yoga. Set an intention when you're playing with your children, but it gives you that soulful focus. Okay, so do less with more intention. And lastly, give yourself permission to do what you have to do without plaguing your mind with everything else that is on your to-do list. So I hope this has helped. We just need to remind ourselves sometimes that there's so much within our control that we just give away. We let other people, other circumstances take the reins. So sometimes you just need a gentle reminder and check in to say, hey, you have more control than you think of. I know it might not feel like that right now, but if you take an honest inventory of what you can shift in your life, let go of, get rid of, say no to, I believe that we can actually enjoy time serenity, where we are not plagued by our to-do list, where we are not inundated with more information from social media or the internet, that we can truly pull back, relax, be present in the moment, and therefore bring so much serenity into the moments that we do have, instead of always worrying about the time that we think we don't have. So I thought this week I would give you a present moment meditation. So you'll find that somewhere around this video, below or above, there is a meditation. Give yourself the gift 5 minutes. I can't remember how long the meditation is, 5 or 10 minutes, and just chill out, relax, give yourself that time, because you deserve it. And beyond deserving it, you need it. Like, you literally need it for brain and body maintenance. Have a great day. We will see you next week.